Think about your favorite content creator. Whose channel do you open in a separate tab when you're supposed to be working? Picture them. Picture their content. Got it? Cool. Now, I have another question for you. Why do you like them? What makes their content so great? I'm personally picturing someone right now as well, but instead of telling you who, let me tell you why I like them. This person's videos make me laugh. Oftentimes I learn something and they come across as somebody that I would be friends with. And these are probably some of the same reasons that you love your favorite creator. Notice how all of the things that we love about our favorite creators rarely have anything to do with their camera equipment. And that brings me to the one thing I really want you to take away from this lesson, which is your equipment doesn't matter. Memorize this, print it out, stick it on your fridge, text it to your mom, do whatever you need to do to cement this in your brain like the Pythagorean theorem. Your equipment doesn't matter. Most people who already have their channel direction and video idea get stuck on this thought. They think, I can't start until I have a fancy camera and lighting and audio equipment. But these things aren't what make a great video. There are viral videos all over the internet that have technical imperfections. People will watch you because of your ideas, your story, your personality, not whether or not you bought an $800 lens. Fancy equipment is not going to give you more subscribers than low-budget solutions. But I know there's a part of you that's still thinking, okay, thanks for telling me that equipment doesn't matter, but I still need to get equipment and I don't know where to start looking. So to ensure that you spend as little time as possible on this step, I'm gonna give you all of my personal recommendations. So hear me out and then spend no more than one day figuring out all of your equipment necessities. Honestly, you could probably get it done in about an hour if you really wanted to. So here's where to start. Pick a budget and stick to it. Don't overthink it, just think about how much you can afford, how much you're willing to spend on this stuff, and then stick to that budget. Hypothetically, if you wanted to spend $50 on everything, you could do that. So first, let's start with sound. Sound is more important than video quality. Counterintuitive, I know, but if your video quality is amazing and your sound is bad, audiences are more likely to react negatively. How annoying is it to watch a video that sounds like this? Would you want to watch this for 5 minutes? That is why sound is so important. Fortunately, most microphones that are built into a camera these days are pretty decent. And here, I'll show you. This is the sound that we get from using the onboard microphone in our camera. As you can see, it's not horrible. You can still hear me clearly and understand exactly what I'm saying. But let's say you want to record something from really far away. What if you're shooting in a place where it's really noisy? Luckily, you don't have to make a big investment to fix these problems. Here's a solid and inexpensive sound setup. Your smartphone and a lav mic. Lav mics, short for lavalier microphones, are perfect for picking up sound from an individual person like I'm doing right now. But we've also filmed a ton of videos where we chatted with strangers on the street and the lav mics were able to pick up their voices really well too. So here's how it works. This is a lav mic. You plug this part into your phone. The sounds gets picked up from this microphone that's clipped onto your shirt or taped under your shirt, and you record the audio from the voice recorder app on your phone that's already on there. And that's where the sound gets picked up. The phone records that sound via your voice recorder app. This is a solid step up from your onboard camera audio. And this mic right here only costs $20. So if you're going to buy anything, I recommend that you buy a lav mic that you can hook up to your phone. If you're cheap or just straight up broke, then you can use the headset that came with your phone. You can get these for about $5 if you don't have a headset. And this has a microphone on it that you can kind of tape under your shirt. It's a little bit janky to do that, but if you don't have any money, that's an option too. And the mic on here is actually not bad. Now, I do have one important tip for those of you using a lav mic for the first time. Here's what you need to know about the setup. Your audio and video files will be separate, so you need to combine them when you edit. To make it easier, when you start recording on both devices, call out the slate and then clap. So for example, shit white girls say, take two. That way, when you start editing, you can easily line up the sound waves so everything is perfectly in sync. A lot of editing programs even have a feature that syncs it automatically for you. So again, just one thing to keep in mind when you're recording audio separately. Now, if money isn't an issue for you, then I would recommend the Sennheiser EW112P wireless lav system, which currently sells for a little bit over $600. I do want to stress that this is absolutely not necessary. When we started our first YouTube channel, we were using the phone and $20 lav mic combo for a very long time. And we didn't upgrade to the wireless system until we had hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So that's how far a $20 setup can get you. Next, let's talk about your video quality. Remember, this isn't as important as sound specifically on YouTube. If you can afford to upgrade your camera, cool. If not, don't worry about it. So I'll give you 3 options: no budget, low budget, and high budget. Let's start with the no budget. If you have $0 to spend, then use the camera on your phone, which is what I'm using now. This is the new iPhone 7 camera. Now I'm using an older iPhone 5. And now I'm using an Android phone called the Moto Z. As you can tell, all these phones look pretty good. But if you've got some cash in your pocket that you want to spend, there are some small advantages to getting a mid-range option. So let's see what that camera looks like. What I'm using right now is the Canon PowerShot 190. It's a point-and-shoot camera. It's really good for vlogging, filming workout videos, filming cooking videos, pretty much anything that you need a portable camera for. Now, if video quality is really important to you, maybe you're an aspiring filmmaker, or you want to make music videos for a big artist, or you just want to do a lot of color correction and go for a certain look, or if you're just filthy rich from your grandpa's trust fund, then consider getting a DSLR. DSLRs provide the best looking images without getting into studio grade cameras. So I personally like to use the Canon 70D. This is also what Casey Neistat uses. The quality on the 70D is incredible, and it gives you a lot of flexibility in post-production as well. It's very versatile in both still photography and video recording, and it has a fast autofocus feature for on-the-go shooting. A lot of camera enthusiasts look down on autofocus, but look, unless you're trying to get some Hollywood level shots, autofocus is going to be your best friend when you're starting out. DSLRs come in 2 parts, the body and the lens. And you can buy the body for around $900 as of right now, and a good lens for about $300. I like to use a 18 to 135 millimeter. Now, let's talk about editing software. This is something people kill themselves over, and let me try to make this decision as stress-free as possible for you. If you have no budget, just use a free editing software like iMovie or Windows Movie Maker. Free programs like these are actually very useful and are usually packed with more than enough features for you to edit on. In fact, we're gonna edit the rest of this video using iMovie starting from right now, and I guarantee you're not going to notice a difference. If you're someone who needs higher end features for whatever reason and have some cash to spend, then I would recommend Adobe's Premiere Pro simply because it's currently the industry standard. And if you're on a Mac, Final Cut Pro X is a really great option as well. Final Cut Pro was built to work perfectly with Apple hardware, and because of that, stabilization, rendering, and exporting is much faster. Now, I'm not gonna teach you how to use these programs because video editing basics is something you can learn pretty much anywhere. Just do a quick search on Google or YouTube, and there are tons of different tutorials to choose from. As you're doing your research on these things, don't forget that the most important thing is to not get hung up on what equipment to buy or what software to use. The most important thing is to just start. Again, your equipment does not matter. Your content does. Welcome back. Now that we're in Module 3, there is something I have to admit. I really don't have anything else left to teach you. And even if I tried to throw any more information your way, it'd be useless. Because at a certain point, you can only learn by doing. And that's the point we're at now. You've learned enough of the theory behind making great YouTube content, but you didn't commit to this course to learn theory. You committed to this course to learn how to do something. So let's not waste any time, as it's your turn to put everything you've learned into practice. But it's not time to create 100% original content quite yet. Think of this as the training wheels phase. To get you comfortable with creating YouTube content, you're going to practice by recreating one of your favorite YouTube videos. You've been told throughout your whole life that it's wrong to copy the work of others. Well, today, that's exactly what you're going to do, and it's totally okay. Copying is going to be the best way to learn how to create great content. Think back to the last module, when you narrowed down your favorite YouTube channels to the one you want to use as inspiration for your own. Now revisit that channel and choose your favorite video, the one that made you think, I hope one day I'll be able to make something half as good as this. Got it? Good. Because now you're going to try recreating your favorite video from your favorite channel, word for word and frame for frame. I know this might sound like a big deal, but it shouldn't stress you out. This video won't be going on your channel, but just because it won't be public doesn't mean it's not valuable. It's going to be extremely useful for you in the long run. By recreating this content, you're going to get a feel for what the creative process is like. You won't have to worry about your original script or your original shot list or any of the other concerns that would normally surround your personalized content. Instead, your focus will only be on what it actually feels like to make a YouTube video. You'll experience what it's like to be on camera or record your first voiceover and how to work your way around chosen filming techniques. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, practice makes perfect, at least a few thousand times in your life. So consider this your first real practice at creating YouTube content. Remember how we mentioned this was the training wheels phase? By starting here, your future content creation will feel just like riding a bike. All it takes is a little practice. Here's something important to keep in mind. This is your first piece of YouTube content ever, so you're going to need to set some reasonable expectations. Well, actually just one expectation. It's not going to be perfect. In fact, it's probably going to suck. Actually, it's definitely going to suck, and that's okay. This is a necessary aspect of the learning process, practice. If you try to make this video perfect right away, you're gonna waste your time, because the only way to get really good at something is to practice it over and over and over again, not to nitpick your first try to death. Accept that whatever you make is going to be rough, and that's fine. Nobody expects this video to be perfect, and you especially shouldn't. You have to start somewhere, and nobody's good at something the first time they do it. So this is your chance to get your worst work out of your system. Let's go back and talk more about filming techniques. You're going to keep it simple this time around. First of all, you already have a professional quality camera. It's your smartphone. You know how to use that, so we won't explain anymore. If you have a recent smartphone, you have everything you need to shoot your first video.
Oh, you can do a selfie. It's to the road round, isn't it?
Yeah, it is with that.
You just press button and it takes you. You can do a selfie like this.
I don't want a selfie, I want that.
Well, turn it other way around,
No, it
pointing
don't
to
work.
that.
No, it don't work
Well,
like
that
that.
I've got to.
You must do.
But I can't see what I'm taking. That's what I'm saying.
It'll not work like that.
But if you want to make your shoot more professional, we've included a list of resources in the worksheet where you can check out some of our favorite cheap accessories if you want to step things up a notch. Now you're ready for the first action steps of your recreation video, pre-production and filming. Before you start, go through your chosen piece of content carefully and break it down shot by shot. And we strongly recommend you make a shot list where you watch the video and write down a description for each distinct segment. Do whatever you need to help you stick to the original video as closely as possible. Also, if it's heavy on dialogue, spend some time writing it out line by line so that you have a script to work from. Being organized will make your shoot much smoother, not to mention faster. In filmmaking, this preparation is called pre-production. Once that's finished, it's time to go out there and film. Once you have your footage, your next step is to edit it. You're going to need some simple equipment for this stage. First, your computer, which you presumably already have. But what you might not have is editing software. If you have a Mac, check to see if iMovie is already pre-installed. If you don't, go download iMovie on the App Store. It's completely free. Now, if you don't have a Mac or iMovie, or if you want to feel extra fancy, you can also download a free trial of Adobe Premiere. Or explore Final Cut, Windows Movie Maker, or DaVinci Resolve. We'll provide links in the worksheet. Any of these will do. Just like your filming didn't need to be perfect, your edit of this video doesn't need to be perfect either. You aren't taking this raw material and turning it into a Marvel movie. You're still keeping this test content bare bones. But if you learn the basics of editing now, you'll be putting yourself at a massive advantage over other new YouTubers. The sooner you start building new skills, the sooner you'll get better at them. So start today. And remember, you're still trying to recreate that original piece of content and your edits should match. Go back and watch the original video and give it a good study. It's your job to imitate it as best you can with the time and resources you have on hand. Try to match it shot for shot as much as possible. In the accompanying worksheet, I'll give you links to basic editing software and links to some YouTube tutorials that can help you learn how to use that software. So get out there and make your first video. This is an exciting step of what's going to be an awesome journey for you. So I hope you're getting psyched. Now get to work and make something. I'll see you in the next video. Today, your training wheels are coming off. You're ready. After all, you've identified your favorite channel idea. You have a sense of what you want it to look like, and you've practiced the filming and editing techniques you'll use to actually make it. So there's really nothing else left to do except to bring your first YouTube video to life. If you feel like we've thrown you off the deep end, we haven't. You totally got this. After all, that recreation video you made, we had you make it for a reason, because now you'll simply be remixing that video with your own idea. You're practically halfway there. This isn't totally new to you. Now all you have to do is follow that same pattern. This time though, you're going to fill in the blanks with your original content. Remember what I told you about Riff Shop? If they were in your shoes, this is where they'd add death metal to the mix.
Remember, keep your contrast down when you just
So get out there and use all the same methods and tools you used in your recreation to make your own video. And to know that by taking this step and creating your own original content, you are doing something that so many people are too afraid to try themselves. So feel proud about taking this leap and getting started. And remember, you're not making a perfect video. You're making your first video. Just get it done, and you'll have the rest of your life to get better and better at this. If you get stuck on filming or editing, you can refer back to the previous video and the accompanying worksheet. Next time I see you, you'll have a video ready to go, and we'll get to the final step, uploading it to YouTube and setting up your channel. You're so close to making your first piece of original content for your channel, and I can't imagine how excited you must be. But there is one more thing you need to do. Before you create your first video, you need to name it. Think of it this way. Would you wait until after you have a baby to name it? Probably not. That's how kids get weird names like chamomile and granola. So your action step is to take your idea and create a tentative title for it. This is important because it will help dictate the direction that your content takes, sort of like a compass that helps you make sure you're on the right track. If you're having a hard time coming up with something that feels right, here are some tips we recommend to help you out. First, ask yourself, would some random person be compelled to click on this video? Your goal here is to pique interest and get clicks, so you don't want a title that's boring or too dry. Next, is it clear and understandable? If people don't understand your title, they probably won't click on your video. So don't get too creative here and err on the side of clarity. After that, ask yourself if this title elicits emotion. People are much more likely to click on your video if the title makes them feel something. So don't be afraid to appeal to emotion, whether it's positive or negative. Finally, make sure it's specific. If your video uses Pig Latin to review electric cars, don't title your video Car Review Video. Instead, make it something like Reviewing Electric Cars in Pig Latin. Your action step is to now go and create a title for your first video using these guidelines. I'll include them in the attached worksheet for your reference. And remember, you don't need to be too precious here, because unlike babies, you can also change your video's name after you finish it. But you still need a solid one to get started. Once you have a title picked out, come see me in video 3, where we'll get to the most exciting step of this entire process, creating your first video. I'll see you there. Let me start by saying congratulations, because if you're watching this video, you've not only taken the time to learn the strategies and methods behind all great YouTube content, you've also put everything you've learned into practice by creating your first piece of original content. This is the beginning of something awesome. Now, once you've finished editing your video, there are still a couple of steps left before you upload it to YouTube. First, you'll need to add an attractive end card. This is just an image with text on it that shares a call to action, like subscribe to my channel or check out my other videos. This goes at the very end of your video. Don't worry too much about making a perfect end card from scratch though. YouTube has built-in tools to help you with this, and we'll also provide you templates as well. Since you need an end card for all of your future videos, it's good to get in the habit of using them now. That will all come further down the road. The other thing you'll need before we create your channel and upload your video is a thumbnail. It may sound small, but your thumbnail is actually one of the most important things you'll need for each video you'll ever make. Creating the perfect thumbnail is essential, as it's the viewer's first impression of what they're about to see. And if that first impression isn't exciting, they'll scroll right past your video and choose one with a more intriguing thumbnail instead. So if you aren't diligent about this, you could end up with a dud like this, instead of a compelling thumbnail like this. Here are our top 3 tips for creating good thumbnails. 1, make sure your thumbnail reflects what's actually in your video. If your video is about the world's largest pizza and your thumbnail shows a picture of the Pope, you're really going to annoy the Catholic retirees who fall for your thumbnail. 2, grab attention. Remember, anyone browsing on YouTube has an almost endless amount of content options, so use eye-catching visuals to make sure your thumbnail doesn't just blend into the background. Consider adding bright colors or fun emojis for an extra pop. 3rd, focus on faces. Remember to show a close-up shot of any faces, especially if the faces you're using convey emotion. Whether your thumbnail includes a face or not though, you should always err on the side of keeping text to a minimum, so it's easy to read at a glance. In the next module, you're going to show the fruits of your hard work to the world by actually launching your YouTube channel. By finishing this module right here, however, you've already crafted all the building blocks you need to get started. That's a huge deal, and you should feel proud. You've done all the work. Now you just need to put it all together. One final action step, and you'll have your own channel and your first video online.